Today's video we're looking at Doctor Strange, Storm, and Captain America in Dimension Duel. We're going to go over what myself and other high-level players are looking into for the specialization, skills, and so on. The next video will be on Captain Marvel and magic. Let's get into it. We're going to jump right into Storm's abilities. So right here I'm starting with Atmokinesis, Wall of Lightning. I'm preferring this one over the other options such as Wall of Frost. Wall of Frost gives a bit more defense from the ability, but I like Wall of Lightning because it's a lightning cloud skill, which you will see in the specializations where this comes into play. The other option right here is a Wall of Wind, which gives you cooldown. This gives you the cooldown stat, which caps at 50%. So if you have 6.14, this will put you at the cap for those 8 seconds. There's other ones that are worded differently, like Iron Man, which just takes the cooldowns off of abilities that are currently on cooldown. This does not work that way. Next, we're going to go into probably everyone's favorite, Weather Witch Electrocution. This hits like an absolute truck with big crit damage. This is how you're killing people a lot of the time. The animation takes a while. It's got a pretty big cooldown. But the first couple times you play someone, you're probably going to kill them in one shot. They're going to say Storm is OP. Then they're going to get down the timing and stuff, and it's going to be tough. The way you need to play this as a skilled Storm is you need to time around their abilities. So if a Star-Lord does his flame cannon, you need to dodge for the invulnerability and then electrocute to force him to dodge or take a chunk. Next, we're going to go into Lightning Attack Cloud Pursuit. This is the Runaway Storm's kind of favorite skill. It's still a lightning class skill, so this still leans into what we're trying to do here. And you throw the cloud, it follows them where they go. If they dash, if they tumble, if they do anything, it follows them and does damage over time, applying shock as well as just extra damage. Next, we're going to go into Atmosphere Control Electric Explosion. Now, most storms don't use this one. This is one that is a pet peeve of mine. Oh, not pet peeve. This is one that I enjoy. And the reason why I enjoy this one is it's for the same reasons that we talk about cross counter for Spider-Man. This lets you lock out an area of the Dimension Duel map. The Dimension Duel map in some ways is expansive, but in other ways is pretty small. So this allows you to set up an area where they can't contest. And it's an electric class skill, which I was trying to, a lightning cloud skill. I was trying to get a fourth one in here to hit a couple breakpoints, which you'll see later. And some people will just fight you in this, and you can get some easy wins. This also combos extremely well. This and the last skill combo extremely well with our last skill, Icicle Crash Snowstorm Shield. This is everyone's favorite. It's the bubble. You go into the bubble, you are invulnerable during that time, and then when you come out, does damage in the area around you. You're still targetable, but you won't take damage while you're in the bubble. There's some bugs and stuff going on that people have noted. Most of those have been handled. Some server side things, but it also has a high guard break when you get out of bubble, which can be used. Now, going into her specializations, there's 2 or 3 that are sort of mandatory, and the other one is flavor, figure it out yourself at that point. We'll go over a couple options. One that's pretty necessary up here, increase shock damage by 5% for each equipped lightning cloud skill. We have 4 equipped, so this is plus 20% shock damage, which all of our 4 basic abilities minus the bubble is shock. So we're just always doing 20% bonus damage on those 4 skills. Another one that's pretty mandatory right here is increase dodge skill gauge recovery by 35%. This is not the same way that Captain Marvel and Spider-Man goes, where they just get that flat 35% of the gauge, this makes you charge it faster over time. So this still goes into effect when you're in the bubble. So with certain timings and breakpoints, if you time your bubble correctly, you can come out of the bubble with an extra dodge that your opponent is not seeing coming because they're looking at their gauge. You have this going on and you're getting a little bit quicker. With Captain Marvel and Spider-Man getting slower on the dodges, you can kind of compete with them if you lean into the bubble aspect. Now, down here is a tough one because you really want this one, but you're going to need some stamina to make this work, which we'll get into in a second. Increase all skill damage by 30% and required stamina by 30%. If you remember from yesterday's video, Iron Man has a similar thing, where more damage but more cost. This goes straight into your playstyle that you're trying to do. Storm's ultimate, you're not really going to be using it in Dimension Duel, but it also charges when you use stamina. So using more stamina means your ultimate charges faster. Now the last one is a split between two depending on what you have going on. If you have stamina issues, where's it at? Down here? Yes. 50% chance to recover 50% consumed stamina when using a skill. This can help mediate that last specialization's downfalls. Let you keep rolling with your abilities. If you got 2 or 3 stamina on your boots, a couple nanos, and have your breakpoints going and you think you're fine with your rotations, then this one over here, Lightning Rod, can come into play. Now, I was a little confused when I was initially reading this because it sounds like it goes to targets around the initial target, but it can hit the initial target. So let's look at it. Create chain lightning that spreads to up to 3 enemies that deal damage equal to 135% of attack when attacking with an 8-second cooldown. This mixed with your bubble. Every time you come out of your bubble, you have a lightning rod up with an extra bonus damage. Next, we're going to talk about Omega cards. And Storm kind of follows suit with a lot of people. And the biggest thing you want to be doing with Storm is we're going to ignore special cards like normal. If you get specials, obviously that's awesome. But what you really want to be focusing on is the crit rate, crit damage, and right here, cooldown. Supervillain Team Up's a great card. And then you can also team that up with, pun intended, Red Skull card for crit damage. That's one that I really enjoy is the set 2. You can farm this from Red Skull on the Hydra map. You can really force some of these to happen from your daily grind. Another fun one down here is you're not obviously leaning into ultimate gauge recovery, but right here we have crit rate and defense pierce. No, not that one. That's the other one in set 8. Crit rate is really powerful. There's been some people testing with guard break, with some of the not lightning, but with the frost skills. I'm not a fan of it. I think people are going to start being prepared for guard break. So if you can deviate yourself from that, you would want to. But what's going to be very, very special that you want to be doing, also for Star-Lord in the last video that I didn't really touch on, is you want to be looking at your exclusives down here. Now, you're obviously going to want your PvP decrease is the number one that you're going to want until it's maxed out. You get the most out of it. And then we look at PvP increase and shock. They both use the same calculation. They both go off the same thing. If you can get a little bit of increase and a little bit of shock, keep going, bounce back and forth until they're both maxed is kind of what you want to be doing here. Air to surface is, as you can see here, less, but an extra stat. I'm not really a fan of it. Doesn't really seem like a thing that Storm wants to be doing, but you really want decreases the first, then you want to go for increase and shock as your exclusive priorities. You obviously, if you can get it, strange cooldown, you really want the cooldown for your boots. It's going to be kind of rough because you also want stamina recovery, so you can actually be using your abilities. For all these characters, you kind of want to hit this happy balance of, can I use my abilities? Can I hit hard? Now last, we'll go over companions. And Storm can be very interesting. Why I say that is you can do some very interesting things, such as Donna Ports, because she increases elemental damage, and all of your attacks are dealing elemental damage. This is the cheap-to-play version of Athena, obviously, but also not really, because the animation is a lot quicker, which means you get the bonus quicker. Something that you can play around with is right here with Gilgamesh, and that's because you can activate companions while you're in bubble. Well, if you're in your bubble and your opponent is trying to reposition, you can wait for them to get in their position, hit Gilgamesh, come down for the stun, and then hit them with that electrocute. Obviously, this guy is always going to be an option. Icarus or Yondu is a great option. Now let's go on to our next champion. Last thing on Storm is costumes. For non-regional, you're looking at 80s for the Defense Pierce and Weather Witch. With Storm's costumes, it has either Defense Pierce or Crit Rate. Her non-specials do not have the Crit Rate option. Weather Witch is your biggest ability and the one that's probably going to win you the most games. Leading into that same reasoning, we're looking at Hydra as the gear. So if any Widows that was doing the Hydra build, this is a solid option to swap to. Crit Rate and Lightning Cloud skill. The other version would be Xanderth, right here for Defense Pierce and Lightning Cloud. I prefer Hydra because I prefer Crit Rate over Defense Pierce, as it is harder to find Crit Rate than Defense Pierce. Next, we're going to get into Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is in a really weird spot right now, where he doesn't really do anything that he says he does on paper in Dimension Duel. He does add to Omega War and a little bit of PvE, but Dimension Duel is definitely not where he's the most solid. Now, if you're going to try to make him work anyways, this is probably going to help you with some success. First, we're going to start with Master of Mystic Arts Barrier Curse. This is the one where at spawn, he can target you because its range is further than most skills. He does the hand signal and then beam. Does decent damage and highest guard break. That's kind of what we're trying to do right here. Not so much lean into guard break as much, but really the idea is if guard break happens, sure, we'll take advantage of it because we have longer cooldowns. Next, we're going to get into Astral Projection Illusionist. Now, the other option right here is Astral Walk, which he becomes invincible as he goes forward through a target, does a little bit of damage, and makes him take increased damage. We're not really looking for that. I mean, it's nice, obviously. You can play it like that if it's more of a runaway kind of style. It doesn't have the longest cooldown. It can be used. This is, right now I'm playing around with Illusionist. Astral Walk can also have good options with our next skill. It really just depends on your playstyle. It's either one of these two, Illusionist or Astral Walk. I like Illusionist because it forces your opponent to play awkwardly to get in a position where they can target you. Anytime you can mess with your opponent's targeting, it's a boon for you, because we all know the targeting in the game's garbage. Astral Walk lets you get into it, and what combos really well with both versions of it is our next skill, which was recently buffed, Eldritch Sword Bladed Defense. You spawn swords around you, they do pretty decent damage, low guard break, and you take 15% less damage during that time frame. Now, the reason why I say it works with both of them, look at the animation, and if we go back here and take a look at both of these, with Illusionist, they have to be in a position where they aren't targeting the clone and can target you, which puts them in a good range to be in the range of the a good position to be in the range of the spinning swords, making them take damage. And sure, they can throw some AoEs at the clones, but you're taking reduced damage during that time, which is really going to help you out. Also, with Astral Walk, you can force them to take the damage because you astral walk through them. They take increased damage because of astral walk, and your blades are already spinning. So they're taking increased damage, and you initially make them take damage from the spinning blades. Once you're out of the astral walk, you have the damage reduction for that X amount of time. So as I said, that really goes to your playstyle. Next, we have our two not biggest damage, but you'll see what I mean right here. So on this spot right here, it's between Book of the Vishanti Assault, and Gateway Summoning, Gateway Launch. Gateway Launch does more damage, but it's a focused beam, and you have to sit there casting it. If we look over here, Book of Ashanti has a 7-second less cooldown, which is awesome. It also has highest guard break versus low. As I said, we're not really leading the highest into guard break, but if we get it, we get it. And it's the animation times are about the same, but this one focuses after a target even if they move. And the next one is probably my favorite. 7 Rings of Ragador Ring Repulsion does massive damage, and if you're too close to the enemy, it creates space, putting you in a safe spot. Next, we're going to go into specializations. Now, onto specializations. This is where Strange is kind of weak. His biggest issues here is that he has some really interesting ones here, but not really what this game mode is trying to do. So let's take a look at up here, Dark Magic Will of the Destroyer. Just flat attack, and you have to give up cooldown for that, which we see from a bunch of our other characters. Cooldown is a stat that everyone wants the most of. This makes this kind of worrisome as so all of his attacks do really good damage, but he takes 20-30 seconds for his cooldowns because of things like this. You have options down here, increase your max cooldown to the exact number to differentiate that, but then you're using two specs and extra cooldown on your boots and stuff, which is already hard to get, to even make up for your bonus. Whereas people like Iron Man and Storm get their bonus damage for giving up some stamina, which is easier to come by in most respects. So it just seems like he's kind of all over the place. But currently, the idea is Will the Destroyer for a bonus attack. Then we have increased Mystic Arts skill damage. We only have 2 on our thing, but there are actual attack skills, the ones we're using to actually kill our opponent. This goes up to 20%, which is definitely good. Then we have down here decreased damage received from enemies by, I think it goes up to roughly 18%. And the last one right here, we have Force Field. Decreased remaining cooldown of all skills by, it goes up by quite a bit, I think up to 20%, when using an Illusion Magic class skill 8-second cooldown. We're only using, we're using 2 Illusion class skills actually, but this gets weaved in pretty nicely to let us clone and things more often. Next, going into the Omega cards, we're still going to want that normal crit rate, crit damage, and cooldown. We're going to actually want cooldown more than anybody else. Strange is in such a weird spot with needing cooldown. I actually can even tell you to go for regular cards. They're actually not even on that list. But if we go down here, you get these cards down here, the common cards. There's like 6 of them that give cooldown right there. I don't really recommend those for most players, but Strange is in such a weird place with cooldown, you kind of really need it. You also obviously have the normal Magardia, the Loki set, things like that. Crit rate, we have the normal Captain America, and if you want to go into it, because you do have 2 highest guard break skills on your rotation, as well as options with your companion making a 3rd skill, the Kingpin number 4 is a decent choice here. Now, leading that directly into our talk of companions, if we take a look here, there's already a bunch of guard break characters on the meta right now. There's like 3 or 4 that people can be using or should be using. Nick Fury is a good counter to that, as well as he does a little bit of damage. Vision can do some interesting things, specifically with Strange. And why I say that is it's a bit tankier, so his 5 and 6 star is crit damage decrease and range damage decrease, as well as when you click Vision, he also gives you damage reduction. This couples really well with the spinning swords, so you can generally have damage reduction going on. I don't think this is the best option, but it is there to play around with. You also have things, obviously Icarus will always be an option. He's going to be in all of these. He's probably your best period at the end. And if you want to lean into the guard break, then Gilgamesh and War Machine are the ones you want to be looking at. We got right here, War Machine has melee damage, not really probably what you want with the 5 and 6 star bonus. And neither of them give you really a 5 or 6 star bonus for 1v1, but their summon stats are both, their skills are both highest guard break skills. On to the costumes. For costumes, for the special, I recommend Hydra, attack, defense, and mystic art skill. There's another one that does attack, HP, and mystic arts. Both are really good. You can probably lean into the other one for HP due to your damage reduction, but with people having high defense pierce, supplementing this so you don't get cut like butter could also be a good decision down the road. Building off of that, the non-special here would be defenders. Attack, defense, and 7 rings. Attack, HP, and 7 rings. This is your fastest and biggest damage ability, and you want this to be hitting like a truck. Now let's go on to Captain America. Now, Captain America got kind of the smallest adjustment here, but really goes a long way. So we'll look at his abilities. He plays a little bit differently than most characters. He has his 2 classes of skills, Vibranium, where's it at? Shield Absorption and Vibranium Release. So as he takes damage, he builds it up, and then he slaps you for more damage. So our first ability right here, we have a Reporting for Duty, Vibration Rebound. He throws it like a frisbee, deals damage, highest guard break, gives 25% for the gauge, and double guard damage to flying enemies. He's going to be melting people who are flying. If anyone flying in Dimension Duel, they start off with half guard gauge. So this can, with enough guard damage, instantly put them out of guard break. That leads directly into Unbreakable Will Neutralization. Just a really quick slap, and then highest guard break as well. We have several of those, as you'll see. And as you see, Vibranium Release does 30% more damage when using the gauge, and 30% guard damage when using Vibranium Release. So you always want to have, as you'll see right here, you really want to have Shield Absorption into Vibranium Release. You want to be bam, 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 bam. Next, we have Captain's Leadership, Captain's Patience. This is the shield. It's good in all game modes. 34.34% max HP as a shield for 10 seconds. With a 40-second cooldown. If you can get max CDR, it's 20-second cooldown up for 10 seconds. You can play a really dodgy playstyle where you only fight while this is up, but it actually goes really well into our next skill right here that got buffed recently, Spearhead Forward Resolution. So Previously, I was tinkering around with Go the Distance. That only has high guard break but has a lower cooldown. But we're really trying to lean into that guard break here. Some of you have probably already seen Captain America's instantly guard breaking their opponents. This is why. This is our third highest guard break skill. We charge forward, do push damage as we go through them, and then slam damage. Highest guard break, as I said, it's Vibranium Absorption, which will go into the Vibranium Release in the next skill. And right here is what got added. Untargetable while moving with the skill. The entire thing is the charge and then the slam. You are targetable during the slam, but at that point they're already taking the highest guard break. This goes into our last skill right here, Promise of Victory, Victorious Leap. This is Vibranium Release, as I said, so it does 30% extra damage when used after the other skill, and 30% guard damage when used after the last skill. This is our fourth highest guard break skill. Right? Jumps and Strikes does the 520% damage, knocks down the attacked enemy, just guard break, guard break, guard break, guard break. That is your entire playstyle and Dimension Duel with Captain America. Next, we'll go into his specializations. For specializations for Captain America, we are starting with Sharp Shield. Increase guard damage by 28% for 10 seconds when using Vibranium Release. We get 2 on our bar with a 15-second cooldown. So 2/3 of the time, you're doing 28% extra guard damage, which is, with our 4 highest guard break skills, really good. Next, we got down here Charisma, 18% less damage. You're a tank. You're going to be taking less damage. That's kind of what you want. Convert 30% of defense into attack. Obviously, do it all day. And our last one up here is one that is kind of being looked at. I like it. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. 50% chance to absorb an additional 25% of Vibranium gauge when using a Shield Absorption class skill. So what that means is, remember, we do Shield Absorption and then Vibranium Release. Shield Absorption, Vibranium Release. So 50% of the time, all of the absorptions get 25%. So 50% of the time, you're going to get 50%. And remember, when you're using Shield Absorption into Vibranium Release is doing extra guard damage. So this is effectively extra guard damage, which is exactly what we're looking for. The fifth option, if you don't like Regroup right here, would be absorb 3% of damage dealt to enemy as HP. This is just a small heal, but you can be tanky enough where this really matters. Now let's get into... Now getting into the Omega cards, Captain America is in a very interesting spot. All characters are going to want the crit rate, crit damage, defense pierce kind of core. You can get that on your equipment as well as on your cards. But he's in an interesting spot because of his converting defense into attack, and then obviously wanting HP because of the shield. He's in a good spot to take the entire set of set 6, similar to Magic, because you have crit damage, obviously, attack, defense, and HP. This he benefits from everything here. You could give up the attack card right here, because base attack isn't the greatest, but I like the idea that by doing the 4 set, you get the crit rate 4 set bonus. If you don't need that crit rate, then you can go ahead and drop the attack and either the HP or defense, so you can have the 2 set bonus and try to apply some other 2 set bonuses that help you more, such as the cooldown and either a crit damage or attack from set 2. He also obviously benefits from set 11 guard damage and crit rate right here. It's a great set 11. Guard damage and crit rate will really help you out. Next and last, we'll get into costumes. Next, on to costumes for Captain America. we're looking at Megardia for the more damage focused, because you have defense, HP, and Vibranium Release. Vibranium Release being your big damage abilities. And the reason why you want to go this way is Vibranium Release always does 30% more damage when you have Vibranium in the back. So doing +6 on the base numbers, 30% more on each of the base numbers is more damage stacked on top, stacked on top, stacked on top. And for set 3 bonus, you want HP instead of just flat attack, because this will help you with your shield. The third skill, Captain's Leadership, giving you HP. If you want to focus on that, and it's kind of tough because this lets you do the damage to actually kill your opponent, but if you want to focus on just the shield across all game modes because of Alliance War and things like that, then Hydra, that's the assistance, is actually a decent one here. The downside, the thing that makes it not the greatest, is because it gives attack as the reset bonus. You really want HP. I believe... Yeah, here we go. Xanderth. Defense, HP, and assistance. This would be the way to go if you're trying to focus on the shield. The shield is the only assist class skill, so you have to be very sure you want to go this direction. If you want to do the damage, Megardia is the way to go. Last but not least here for Captain America is the companions. So you're going to be going for... War Machine's kind of slow, so if I would pick between the two of War Machine and Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh is the one I would normally go towards. This will give you a 5th highest guard break skill, which is kind of ridiculous to have 5 of them. Icarus is always an option. You can also use Yondu or Daredevil, depending on the kind of dodge that's giving you an issue. And that's kind of what we're looking towards. Your second, third, and fourth companion on your list, you will kind of want things that give you reduced damage. So if we take a look, I believe Gilgamesh, yeah, melee damage decrease, things like that, to really help you tank the damage. Because you're not doing the greatest damage, but you're messing up their guard, so you can eventually kill them, time them out, whatever you want to do. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of these 3 builds. And remember, the next video will be on magic and trying to make Captain Marvel work. Till next time, guys.